Alright, so we're going to be doing our daily pump checks here. So first thing we do is find the day and put in the time. The time is actually a lot more important than people think, because if you have something kind of weird going on in any of your numbers, you can look back and see other times you've been there around the same time, and you can kind of compare those and see what's going on. Next is the flow. So right now we have no flow because there's no pumps running. Again, you would want to watch that, because if it was too high or too low, then you'd know something's going on with your pumps. So you always want to watch that. Next is pressure. You always want to keep an eye on that, make sure nothing's too out of the normal, because if your pressure is too low or if your pressure is too high, then again something's going on in your system that you definitely want to check out. Next we got our controlling reservoir percentage. So we put that in. And that one, actually we had something pop up yesterday with the reservoir levels at one of our other booster stations, reservoirs. The levels for 3 of the 4 cells were near the same, but one of them was actually a lot lower than the others. So we had to do a bit of troubleshooting on that. We had to go and open up the reservoirs and look in there and kind of see if there was a physical difference in the levels. We determined that there wasn't any, so we had to look at our floats and our probes at the bottom and kind of figure out from there what it is that making it so it's not reading correctly. So next one is the flow in meters cubed. So we actually run down into the pump house for this number. I usually take a picture of it just so I remember it, but that's right on here. It'll pop up with a big number, and that shows us what our flow total is. We're able to take that number and subtract it with the other old flow totals, and that kind of gives us flow for the last 24 hours or however long it's been since we've been here last. So I've seen since yesterday at 10:26, between the flow yesterday and the flow today, we've used 1,260 meters cubed of water. So just take a fun look at that. If you times that by 1,000, that is 1,260,000 liters since yesterday. So that tells us exactly how much water we're putting out, and we're able to track that. So next, we go to our pumps and check the hours on those. So that's right here and here. We have our little hours things. So those just help us keep track of how much the pumps are running, how often and how long they are at once, and lets us know if one's running a whole lot, maybe we need to change it to a different pump, or when we change from winter to summer mode, for example, we're able to switch to the smaller pumps because they run less water in the winter time, or in the summer we'll put on the bigger pumps for more water usage. This is our chlorine room, and right on the side there we have scales for the tonners, and those show the weight, how much they weigh, and that helps us keep track of whether they're empty or full, and when we need to order more chlorine tonners. So next we'll look at some water quality stuff. So we're going to look at chlorine residual. put that in. Yeah, you always want to keep an eye on the residual, make sure it's not getting too high or too low. You always want to make sure you have a good amount going out into your system to keep up with any dead ends or anything like that. We're going to look at temperature. Temperature is another really big one that you want to watch, because temperature can really affect your water quality. We've had instances where our turbidity spikes up really high and we're not really too sure why, but if we look at the temperature, sometimes we'll notice that the temperature spikes really high, and that could be causing lake turnovers and stuff like that, which will affect turbidity and pH and temperature and all that. So that's a really important one to keep your eye out. And next is pH. Always want to keep track of your water's pH, because pH can really affect your water quality as well. UVT and UVT lamp intensity. So that one is for a ultraviolet light that we have in there. We have that for I believe we're testing it or doing kind of pilot thing for some other stuff, trying to get some information. Usually we go to our turbidity, but because we just turned the pump on, the turbidity is still trying to settle out. Other than the turbidity, that is everything on our checks. You always initial when you checked as well, because you always want to put who was there and who looked at it, because if something goes on in the middle of the night, you always want to know who was there and who did what. That's also why we have this book over here. Anything that gets done within the pump house, anything to do with the pumps, the instruments, the SCADA, all gets written down in this book, just for in case we get called out in the middle of the night and a bunch of stuff's going on and we can't get a hold of anyone. At least we have a record of what's happened in here and what exactly they've done. So that's a really important tool within the pump house.